Okay, so your next file that you're going to look at in your references is your Linetype legend. This one doesn't necessarily need to be printed. You can print it if you'd like, just to have as a reference, but primarily you'll look at this digitally, and you'll want to be able to see not only the color and the line type provided for any given type of line, but also be able to reference the layer name. There's very specific names for how you properly and professionally label your layers, and this needs to stay pretty organized. Even in school, you need to make sure you got it pretty organized. So here in your layer properties manager, you'll see that all of these have been given a name with the L in the front. This is kind of a standard naming method for layers. This stands for landscape or landscape architecture. These change and vary based off of what profession or discipline is dealing with the file and which layers they put in. So there's A for architecture, C for civil, E for engineering. It varies, and it just depends. Sometimes there's different letters. Just depends on the firm, which offices it's coming from, that kind of deal. But for this class, go ahead and use something similar to this. So if you're going to add a layer that's different than what you see in this list already, go ahead and try and keep it in the same, start with an L, and try and make it resemble this a little bit. And then after that, you'll add your corresponding color based off of what's out here or what's best for your plot style. And then the same for your line type, and apply those. I will note that this is just a baseline. This is a starting point. This normally works pretty well for like a 20 or 30 scale, but it will need some adjustment for you guys depending on how big it is and what are some of the requirements. This is just your starting point, but go ahead and reference it, at least for line types. Those are pretty set in stone, so don't vary too much from the line types. There's also a couple symbols that might help y'all be a little bit more efficient, so you can test out using those as needed as well. And as a whole, this should be pretty set in stone. Also note that when you're drawing things in model space, you'll want all of these settings to be by layer, and then you handle them only in your layer management so that your plot style works. If you set these guys and set these guys and they contradict each other, they can cause issues when you're plotting with your plot style and some confusion. So just be wary of that. But as a whole, this is just a decent reference for your line type. So dashed for contours versus a fence type for your fences, or center line for center lines, and your phantom for your property lines. So make sure that you use this as your reference for those. And as you have different ones that may not be in here, you can always ask your professors or TAs for clarification on different line types for whatever uses, as well as colors. You play around with those and play around with your plot style and reference the plot style line weight sheet that was provided for y'all to print out to see, maybe red's not thick enough, it's not dark enough, there's not enough contrast between that and the existing contours. You might bump that up to a yellow, or you might make that yellow and, instead of green, you might go up to cyan or something like that. Whatever method you want to go about to create enough hierarchy in your drawings.